Hello, everyone. Welcome to Astrologer Climate Witness tonight. I am going to discuss the lunar return for the United States as of December 7th at 0:49 minutes a.m. And the chart has um, the moon in the sixth house, and I'm going to read a little bit about all of this. But this is the chart. I did December, January, February, March, and April lunar returns. I've been studying them, but I have to study them even more. But this one, I really want to get this out tonight because, hey, it's what's happening right now. So if you look at this chart, you can see that the moon is in the sixth house, and there's other significators here that are really important and refer to exactly what's going on. The spending bill that's trying to be passed in Congress and what's going on with that. So let me read what I wrote, okay, and some of what I got off the internet about mundane astrology. Here we go. So I feel like I threw it together, but I've been looking at this for like over a week, and it's a little daunting, but it's not like I'm trying to predict exactly what's going to happen with the bill. I think I can tell, but we'll get to that. Here we go. The lunar return for the United States, December 7th. Moon in the sixth house. The sixth house for a mundane chart rules public amity, relations with neighbors, general health of the public, political stability, financial solvency of the nation, management of debts, litigations, judicial functioning, communal harmony in the country, and labor relations. Okay? Here we got the Amazon strike happening, right? The close natal transit afflictions to the sixth house or its lord by the most malefic planets or slow-moving planets from the malefic houses indicate fatal accidents or involving large numbers of deaths, stuff like that. Now that's from a Vedic astrology site. I tried to shy away from that, but it was really hard to get exactly what the sixth house rules in mundane astrology. I have another one here, but it's a little more general. But I really like that part about financial solvency of the nation. I mean, that fits perfectly for what's going on right now with trying to get this bill through Congress. Okay. And the moon, where the moon is in a lunar chart, has to do with what we deal with daily during the course of that month. Now, to follow up on that sixth house moon, and as we astrologers know, the sixth house is ruled in natural astrology in the actual wheel of the zodiac by Virgo. And guess what the rising sign is for this lunar return chart? Virgo. Okay, now let me keep going here. Here's another description of the sixth house from Earthshine, the website Earthshine. Just as the sixth house is related to health and natal astrology, the sixth house mundane concerns matters of public health and epidemics. It also rules workers, labor of all kinds, including unions, associations, and civil service, and other workers groups. The sixth house is also related to the nation's military and military actions. All right, and I wrote, we have the Amazon strike trying to happen. Hopefully that Biden himself will be dealing with, because he is still the president right now. And then, now in general, the moon, I want to talk a little bit about the rulership of that, and most astrologers, of course, are very familiar with that, but for the general public that might be listening, the moon is the indicator of public administration, especially the management of food, hospitality, and healing. The moon also is an indicator of the masses, women's power, professions including training, public relations, administration, and healers. What role is Kamala Harris playing right now in regard to her current position as vice president? How is President Biden doing anyway? Okay, so is she involved in taking care of some of the responsibilities right now. I haven't been following what she's been doing lately very closely. I see some clips here and there, but I haven't been reading about it. So, okay. Then you have to look at the rulership of the 10th house is Mercury. So here we have Mercury coming into play again because Virgo's rising, right? Now we have Gemini on the 10th house. And what's Mercury doing? It is retrograde. Retrograde. It's backtracking, just like what's going on in Congress with this bill, trying to take care of our daily house cleaning and house maintenance work. Okay, that's the 6th house where the moon is. Okay, so the Mercury is backtracking. So leader, government, this is the 10th house. With Gemini there, it's hard enough. But then with Mercury retrograde on the cusp, it's confusing. The 10th house is the federal government as a whole, standing in opposition to the 4th, which is the people. It would also represent the royalty, if that is applicable to the nation. For example, in Canada, the 10th house governs the federal government as well as the British crown. The 10th house is also the nation's reputation on both national and international level. This is the place where the nation is most visible, so it concerns the public image of the nation. Our national image is that there are two dual leaders right now, twin leaders. It's Gemini, and we have two men trying to run the government, whether or not anyone admits it or not. Elon Musk has his fingers, Gemini, in the pie, right? He won't shut up. Not that I really want Trump doing all this, but it's not good to have two people trying to run a show, right? I said that would be supposedly Trump and Elon Musk. This is not a good image, dual image. Who's really running the country by what our public image must look like? Very confusing. Virgo, again on the ascendant, and let's see, which is the identity of the people. So are we having analytical view of the procedures? Are we using our analytical critical thinking to realize what's really going on here? And Uranus is squaring the moon in that 6th house. And Uranus is in the 9th house. And the 9th house also rules the law. So let's see, legal issues of the country. We just had Fani Willis lose being in charge of the documents case for Trump. That's really sad. Now, astrologers, she is a Scorpio, and I did look up a chart, but I forgot the rest. I think there's some Capricorn and Leo in there, but I think it's Capricorn. But anyway, I mean, that would make her, more oriented toward her profession. Of course, not Scorpio too, but I mean, she's a Scorpio, and look what happened to her. I'm not blaming her necessarily. I wanted her in there. I really did. But, I remember her talking about what happened to her right around that time during COVID. And if you look that up, what she was stating about her life at the time, I think you'll understand. It doesn't mean you think it was right what she did, how she handled things, but you can kind of understand. Just look it up. Maybe you'll find it. Maybe I'll go into it sometime. I think it's sad that she lost it, but that doesn't mean the case is going away. Just that they took it away from her and her staff. Okay. So that's that, the 9th house, and Uranus retrograde squaring the moon, women, it was squared, okay? So, what else? The 9th house also, shipping, sea and air travel, religions and churches, laws, universities, labs, international academic communications. The 9th house governs similar topics as in natal astrology, just on a national level. The nation's universities and higher education, academia, law courts, judges, judicial matters, scientific labs, and other research centers. There's been a lot of judicial matters happening, correct? The clergy, like I said. The 9th house also rules sea and air traffic, compared to the 3rd, which governs roads, rails, international shipping, and trade, which kind of, Now that's international. Okay. So if you ask me, there's disruption in legislating the government. Okay. Now, the ascendant, the first house of a nation as a whole, the general conditions of health and wealth of the nation, or the reverse, what condition is the nation in? That's all about the first house. Just as the first house in natal astrology represents the native, their person and personality, the first house in mundane astrology represents the basic identity of the nation. Now that's, they're kind of really talking about the natal chart of the country at this point right here, but not necessarily just the lunar return, which again is a small piece of what's happening overall. But, we go step by step to see what we can figure out about what's going on, right? Any planets here give insight into how the nation sees itself and what the people are like. The ruler of the first and its location in the chart shows the topics that have played a key role in shaping the nation's identity and sense of self. So right now, for the lunar return, the ruler, Mercury, is in the fourth house of the lunar return. So if the ruler of the first is dignified, it indicates a generally prosperous nation. If debilitated, it indicates a troubled nation. So it's in Sagittarius on December 7th it was. And now it is retrograde. See it down there? Mercury and Sagittarius conjunct the nadir. Okay? I'll continue. If the rising sign is in earth signs, it is associated with physical land, its resources, crops, animals, plants, as well as shipping and travel over land, buildings, structures, and other physical objects. Earth signs are also associated with practical matters and issues that have a bearing over the material things and the land. The mutable signs, Virgo, suggest events that will change and shift very quickly and things that are of a changeable or transient nature. Okay, so we do have a changeable situation here, very changeable, with Virgo rising and what's going on in Congress trying to pass this bill to fund the government. Okay, so what are we saying here? With the ruler of the ascendant conjunct the sun in Sagittarius, that means the leader or authority is attached to this. In the domestic realm, the ruler of the 10th is in the 4th. So Mercury is in the ruler of the 10th is in the 4th, and the ruler of the 4th is in the 10th. Okay? So it seems quite confusing, right? And each of these planets, Jupiter and Mercury, are in their detriment. So we have a mixing of the authority with the nation homeland. It's kind of like what you would call backwards, right? Well, and then what about Saturn? Saturn rules the 5th here in this chart, and Pluto is in it, although in Aquarius, and so is Venus. Venus is at 29 degrees Sagittarius, and Venus is ruling the 8th house, and what did I say? And the 2nd house. No, excuse me, I'm sorry. That's the next chart. It's ruling the 9th and the 2nd. 9th and the 2nd. So, again, Venus, let me start back here again. So Saturn rules the 5th, okay? Speculation, Wall Street, because basically that's what that is. Here, Pluto is in it, okay? Conjunct Venus. So there's something having to do with the 9th and the 2nd house that's up for grabs, I think you could say, because that's kind of like a 29th degree thing. Like, what's going to happen? We don't know, okay? And Venus is ruling the 9th, okay. Legislature and the 2nd house of finances. Pluto is conjunct Venus. I think it is evident what that means. There is oligarchic interference, and I'm talking about Pluto here, with our finances, with our legislature. Oligarchic interference. Pluto is oligarchic, okay, the negative definition. Saturn in Saturn is conjunct the descendant from the 6th, just 3 degrees. So there is opposition from that speculative house, to the identity of the people, the first house, okay? So Saturn's opposing that, and Saturn's ruling the 5th, Wall Street, from that oligarchic ruler, and the 7th house is not just partners, but open enemies. Remember that, okay? So what does all this tell us? Okay, so in order to see more in this chart, we should look at the next chart. I'm not going to go through all of them. I thought I could. I was trying to work on talking about every lunar return up until April, and there's a reason why, but I'll get to that. But I don't think I can do that all in one shot. The moon is ruling the 8th. Okay, I said that. Let's see. Okay. Oh, in the next chart, we have that occurring on January 3rd. And of course, they all keep talking about January 3rd because that's when Congress comes back into session, okay? So the moon in this chart is on the 3rd house cusp. Let's see with it. Yeah. Sorry. It's on the 3rd house cusp. Why is it so big? There we go. See the moon right there? It's on the 3rd house cusp. And we have Virgo and Pisces intercepted. Virgo in the 9th house and Pisces in the 3rd. So we have that information, data-oriented movement around, travel in nation, within the nation, intercepted and things going on there because Neptune's there. Okay, now with what did I write here? Okay, so the 8th house is shared resources. So that's taxes. Okay, so what are they going to do with our tax money, right? Now, and so this is showing us the result of what's happening by Saturday. Are they going to pass this or not? So here's the result. By looking at this chart, January 3rd, we should be able to figure this out, I think, as to what's going to happen. Or secrets, 8th house, are up in front communications. Because, and I say that because also Mercury ruling the 9th is in the 1st house, okay, in Sagittarius. Mercury's in the 1st house, so Virgo intercepted in the 9th, some kind of, in the 7th house, Mercury ruling the 7th is in the 1st. Are there going to be, and we've got the involvement of the 3rd house, moon conjunct the cusp, involvement of information and data up front and center with Mercury in that 1st house. I do believe we're going to find out something as to why all this occurred. Okay, now secrets, communication. The 9th house has intercepted Virgo in the 9th, which was the rising sign of the last lunar return. So now that Virgo in the 9th is intercepted, it doesn't look like we're going to figure this out and have a bill passed by Saturday. And I just saw on my Yahoo News when I didn't open it, but the title was, and I don't know how new this was, but I think it was very new, Elon Musk says we have to have a shutdown until Trump gets into office. That's what the title was. We have to have a shutdown until Trump gets into office. That's what he said. I don't know if I can find that on here. Let's see. Wait a minute. Yahoo News. I mean, this is bizarre. This is outrageous that we have an oligarch running our country. Because that's really what's going on here, folks. The first top thing here is the strike with the workers. Moon in the 6th house for this lunar return, right? Let's see if they put that there. I don't usually use Yahoo News. It just so happens that when I opened my computer, that came up. I think it was Yahoo News. Um, 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 um. Anyway, I don't know if I'm gonna find that, but no, it's not here. Okay. It might not have been Yahoo. I don't know what it was, but that's what the title was, saying that Elon Musk says we have to have a shutdown. He wants the government to shut down until Trump gets into office. So keep that in mind, okay? Now, the rising sign for this January 3rd lunar return has Mercury rising, like I said. It's not that close to the ascendant, but ruling that Virgo interception in the third house in general. I was talking about that already. Oh, and now, let's see. The biggest thing that I see here, which is really interesting, is the sun, January 3rd, is at 13 degrees, which is exactly opposite the natal sun of the United States chart. Will there be a clash of the titans here? Okay, because if you've got the sun of the lunar return, which to me seems like Elon Musk, like a temporary authority, whatever, opposite the natal sun of the United States, which actually really would be referring to Biden, really, maybe not Trump. But you've got the sun opposite the sun, this lunar return sun opposite the natal sun. I think that's really interesting. There's going to be a clash of the titans, one way or the other, if you ask me. Now, don't forget, one of the things that made me start looking at all of this is the Mars is retrograde, okay? I didn't even discuss it in the first one. That's what I was trying to do. Now, okay, let me go back then. So Mars in that particular chart is in the 11th house. And that is, I did copy some of that. The 11th house in mundane astrology is, I did copy this PDF here. The 11th house, it's not that long. Okay. And this is not Vedic, this is regular. Parliament and local government. Well, maybe it's Vedic because it says parliament. Well, local government. Okay. In general, parliament, they're talking about Congress. So Mars retrograde in the first lunar return for December 7th is very telling. It doesn't really oppose or make too many close aspects to anything. I mean, it's widely opposed that Pluto's at 0 degrees and the Mars is still at 6, but it is retrograde. So let's keep that in mind. And then, like I was saying, if we go to Mars in the January 3rd chart, it's in the 8th house of shared resources, our tax money. Still retrograde, but it's back to 1 degree. So now it is in exact opposition to Pluto, which is at 1 degree Aquarius. Mars at 1 degree Leo and Pluto at 1 degree Aquarius. You've got opposition, and like I said, in general, we get that Sun opposition Sun, right? So Pluto in this chart rules the 12th house. Scorpio rules the 12th house in this chart, in this lunar return. So secret enemies, behind the scenes, actions, and Pluto here is in the 2nd house, okay? 2nd house of our finances, the nation's finances. And Mars rules the 4th, the domestic situation, our domestic politics, our domestic nation, our nation, basically. Domestic issues, homeland security, whatever you want to call it. I mean, when you say homeland security and you're looking at that Mars-Pluto opposition, that gets really scary. Especially when you're talking about the 12th and the 8th house. Those are the 2 houses we've got involved here, folks. And the 4th. We're talking only a lunar return, but that does give a picture of the time frame of that 28 days, right? From starting from the 3rd, I don't know, this looks really fuzzy and weird. And, okay, so now, what else was I going to say? Hold on, folks. Just taking a minute. That's fine. Okay. Now, okay. And did I talk about earth signs? I think I did. And then mutable, things that are changeable. I read that. Okay. Rising sign, Sag. Okay, I think we pretty much covered these first two. Oh, I wrote this. Okay. Mercury is rising, not close to the ascendant, but ruling the Virgo interception and the 3rd house in general. More information that is either secret, we don't know about, or it comes out in the public eye, which I think it does since it is in the 1st house. And then Mercury is trying, what did I say? Oh, Mercury is in conjunct Uranus, and Uranus is ruling that 6th house, or is in the 6th house, right on the cusp. That was so prevalent last month, the December 7th. So you got Mercury in conjunct Uranus. So that's oil and water, information that the public, the identity of the United States public, doesn't mix with what's going on in the 6th house, which is disruption. I think that Uranus in the 6th house is disruption of everyday affairs of the nation. The 6th house, just like your own 6th house is your everyday rituals and routines and obligations to do. You take out the garbage and wash your dishes, clean the bathroom, take care of your bills, go pay your bills, etc. Watch your bank account. I mean, the 6th house is all these tasks. And what we're trying to do right now by pass this bill is taking care of that. But now in the January 3rd chart, that Uranus, now it looks like, I don't know, I'd have to do this again, but has Uranus gone direct in that one? I'm losing track here. But anyway, that in conjunct, that's oil and water. That's not good. And that Mercury ruling that intercepted Virgo taking care of business, right? Everyday business is not gonna. It's not. It's in that 9th house of legislature, and it's not moving. Okay. So let's see. Anything else? Oh, I think we're gonna have a shutdown. We'll know tomorrow, basically by tomorrow night. I could be wrong, but this is what I'm looking at here. It doesn't look good. So anyway, okay. I said pretty much all of that. I said because it looks like there's 2 rulers of the United States, I wrote the multi-headed hydra, 2 leaders in opposition. That sun in this chart and the sun in the natal in opposition, 13-13. So it's not 9 heads like the hydra. I looked that up, but may as well be. So yeah, that is one thing. Now, I did want to read an article, okay, that relates to all of this. It's from commondreams.org. Now, people wonder, if I'm mostly into the whole environmental issues predicament, why am I into these politics right now so much? Well, because if you don't think politics have anything to do with anything, I mean, they're not going to fix it, but whatever they're doing does affect our everyday lives, right? You don't think it does. there's so many people that want to think that that outer big system doesn't affect them, right? Well, it certainly does. It certainly does. Okay, here we go. What did I want to look at? Okay. In quotes, President Musk trends after Trump's top oligarch torpedoes federal spending deal. Welcome to Elon Musk's presidency, wrote Democratic Representative Robert Garcia. Congress is careening toward a government shutdown after U.S. President-elect Trump, egged on by billionaire Elon Musk, who helped bankroll Trump's re-election campaign and is slated to help oversee cuts to government spending and regulation in the new administration, torpedoed a federal spending bill that would have kept the government open for the next few months. The episode has drawn sharp rebuke from Democrats and caused a number to muse whether it's Musk who's really in charge. The U.S. Congress this week came to an agreement to fund our government. They did. They came to an agreement. Democrats and Republicans worked on this and they came to an agreement. They had everything ready to go. They did. Elon Musk, who became $200 billion richer since Trump was elected, objected. He objected to what they came up with in Congress. Republicans, Democrats working together. He came up with an objection. Are Republicans beholden to the American people or to President Musk? This is oligarchy at work, wrote Senator Bernie Sanders in a social media post late Wednesday. During a Wednesday night appearance on MSNBC, Representative Jasmine Crockett, she is really cool. You got to try to listen to her sometime. She is really cool. I've listened to her quite a few times now. Give it a shot. And see if you can find her on there. Oh my God. She's from Texas. Called Musk basically a shadow president. So that's what we've got here, folks. These sorts of remarks continued Thursday with Representative Robert Garcia from California writing, "Welcome to the Elon Musk presidency, where Donald Trump is now clearly the vice president." And who's been hearing about Vance? I mean, he's like so far back in the background. Forget about it. He's now clearly the vice president. They want a government shutdown that would hurt millions of Americans. It's totally insane, wrote Representative Robert Garcia of California. Former Secretary of Labor Robert Reich echoed this sentiment in an opinion piece of Common Dreams published Thursday, writing, "If this is an oligarchy, I don't know what it is. You may not get access to the services you depend on just before the holidays before an unelected billionaire shadow president wanted it that way. Because an unelected billionaire shadow president wanted it that way." Trump and Vice President-elect J.D. Vance threw cold water on the spending bill Wednesday afternoon with a joint statement arguing that the bill included Democratic giveaways. The directive from Trump. Now, mind you, the other Republicans who helped make this bill didn't care that there was a few Democratic giveaways in there because they got some giveaways too, right? The directive from Trump came after Musk spent much of Wednesday airing his opposition to the spending package on a platform, X, which he owns. In total, Musk shot off over 150 posts demanding the members of GOP back away from the spending bill, according to the New York Times. The bipartisan spending package unveiled by House Speaker Mike Johnson on Tuesday would have funded the government at current levels through March 14th and also provided some $100 billion for disaster relief for people in the hurricanes and wildfires, as well as $10 billion in economic relief for farmers. In their statement denouncing the bill, Vance and Trump also called for an increase in the debt ceiling, adding the fraught issue of national debt, which currently stands at more than $36 trillion, into the debate. Trump also called for getting rid of the debt ceiling entirely, according to Thursday reporting from NBC News. Senator Chris Murphy said this of the debt ceiling demand. Trump wants to lift the debt ceiling for one reason and one reason only, so he can borrow shitloads of money to afford his new giant tax break for the billionaires and corporations. In other words, saddle regular Americans with mountains of debt so the rich can get richer. Now, there's on this Common Dreams site, you can go on and make comments, and I've learned a lot from the comments sometimes, so you can do that. Anyways, I'm going to have to wrap this up, but I don't think there's going to be a passing of this bill. I mean, I could go upstairs right now, and maybe they'll say it passed. Maybe they're still working on it tonight. I think they will be. But isn't this amazing? I mean, it just goes to show that lunar return charts can really help a lot. I mean, that moon in the 6th house, taking care of the country's everyday business, is very evident. And then Mercury ruling the ascendant in the 10th house, and it being retrograde, I think that's very, very telling. So I'm going to hurry up and try to make another video soon to discuss more about the Mars influence, because that's what started me on this whole lunar return thing. I think the Mars retrograde is extremely significant. I mean, it talks about the male energy overall. And look what helped Trump win the presidency. I heard this from another video, okay? I didn't think of it myself. But it's true that Mars influence, male influence, brought him over the top so he could win the presidency. And there's more to it with what was going on with Venus that I listened to in this video for the summer with Kamala Harris, which put the feminine on top. But then changes happened, and now we've got the Mars influence. I'm going to get back to you as soon as I can and see if we can discuss this Mars. Because the thing is, by April, it will have been direct for a while, and it will cross over Trump's ascendant at that 29 degrees Leo. And I'm working on figuring all that out. The journey of Mars retrograde and direct and how that's influencing everything. Think of the male testosterone and the male aggression and male assertiveness, etc. You know, and I'm not even putting a negative spin on it necessarily. I'm on the male testosterone whole thing, right? But in this case, we're going to talk about that. Okie dokie. Thank you for listening to Astrology Climate Witness tonight. Have a good one.